Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third Reimagining Retail Post-COVID seminar with our host, Matt Urban of Matt Urban Marketing. As you know, the first two seminars, Matt gave us a lot of information, and we've asked you to submit your questions as we went along. So we have compiled those, and I have shared them with Matt. So he has incorporated those into today's seminar. He's also going to touch upon some of the topics from the first two because he did give us a lot of great information. A lot of people asked for some more detail. If, however, you do have any last-minute questions, you are welcome to queue me up through the Q&A feature, and I will get them over to Matt. He can incorporate them into today's lecture because he's really good at thinking on his feet. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce to you Matt Urban of Matt Urban Marketing.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you again for everybody that was able to make the time today. Really appreciate that. I know this is week 3 and we have covered a lot of ground. So let's jump right into it. I promise you, I'm not going to overload you with information. Most of today will be answering your questions as well as just refreshing your memory on some things that we had covered in previous weeks, in case you either missed it or may have just not written it down. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And here, share. Okay, let me make this full screen and give me a minute. Okay. Now, Kevin, how does that look on your end? I want to make sure this is full.
It looks really good like you have in the other days. So I think you are good to go, Matt. Thank you.
All right, cool. I always want to make sure of that because I could just get going and not know. So as I was saying, thank you so much, everybody. Week 3 of 3, we have made it. I want you to know, before we get into the details of today, that it's been a real pleasure to get up here and walk you through some of the things that I'm really passionate about, which is growing businesses through digital marketing, through customer service, through service design. I think if there's anything that we take away from these 3 weeks, it is so important in 2021 that as we approach this reopening of the country and more people are vaccinated and cases are down, that we still keep in the front of our minds how important it is to keep that consumer first. I know we always say, like, customer's always right, customer's always right, customer's always right. Not exactly the case, but if you're more mindful of your customers and where they are at today, what they expect when they do business with any local business or any major corporation, they have that bar set very high. So what my job is here and why Kevin's brought me on is I want to be a resource to get you up to speed in 2021. So with that said, let's get into our agenda. So we're going to recap some of our last 2 weeks and really going to keep it high level. Just want to point out some important things that I think if there's anything you take away, it's those takeaways. And then some implementation, and we're going to be answering questions along the way. Now, most of you have been familiar with who I am. We don't have to have this picture up anymore. I'm heavily involved in digital marketing. I've started my own business here in Malden. I also started my own paper business years ago, back in 7th grade. So I'm deeply entrenched in this. I love it. I look forward to, if you have any questions on the side, or if you want to meet up and talk about your business, happy to do so. So let's recap what we really should take away from the last 2 weeks. Obviously, cleaning, we're going to buzz through this one because I really think you're already doing a great job of that, but we want to be mindful of our customers once again. Having displays of cleaning protocols can't hurt. I actually know from an experience I had over the weekend, went into a restaurant and right there on the front door is exactly what we're looking at here. It's a healthy, clean environment. We work to clean and disinfect. We social distance when we can. And if there's touchless or contactless ordering, certainly is available to customers that prefer that style. Clean scents. So amazing when you can walk into a place and it smells clean. Hopefully that smell does mean that you are clean business. But if anything, customers really want to feel safe, and that added scent of lemon or lavender, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, but it should be there upon the customer's arrival. Indoor plants. I'm a huge plant guy, plant dad myself. I think it brightens up a room. It does give off that feeling of cleanliness again. Now, although we mentioned in previous weeks that not necessarily cleaning the air, they do give off that feeling. I mean, this picture right here just looks like an awesome place to hang out and work. And then another obvious point, but should not go without mentioning, sanitizer being readily available. You cannot have enough of it. If we have a barbershop, for example, maybe we have that right upon arrival once you walk in the door, maybe another sanitizer station before the bathroom, and then maybe one at the barber chair. An example would be, hey, you just sat down. We know that you just open the door. Maybe you sat down, you touched something. Here, would you like some sanitizer? That'd be a quick suggestion for those barbers out there. And then queuing lines, another not so exciting tidbit, but having these, although you may be worried about people not paying attention to them, it is more for the people that do pay attention to them. So what? If there are people that aren't abiding by them, there are people out there, I can assure you, that look for these and they want to feel safe. Plexiglass barriers, another great example. Keeping your distance from the customer when you can in those moments where you are either cashing them out, or if there's any type of ordering, or maybe plexiglass barriers in a barbershop between the chairs. All great use cases, all great ways to, once again, keep that customer front of mind as we continue our business in this post-COVID world. I'm telling you, it is not going away in 2021. The masks are not going away. People will still want that safety, that cleanliness. And what happens is when we achieve that as a business, what do people do? They turn around, they tell their friends, they tell their family, and that garners repeat business for you. Now, next is QR codes, which is something we touched lightly upon in one of the weeks. QR codes it's a really interesting technology that have been around quite a while, but a lot of people are starting to implement them today. And one of the questions that we had received are, what are they? What are QR codes? And how can I use them for my business? Well, QR quick response codes can be read and understood by mobile devices. And basically, it's kind of like a barcode. We'll get into what the differences are, but they provide more information about a product or service while promoting interaction and engagement through a mobile phone. Basically, what we're trying to do is we can take this idea of QR codes, make it easier. You see it a lot in restaurants right now. Could be possible in barbershops, could be possible in any service-based business where you have maybe a menu and you don't want to have to hand out menus, or maybe, I mean, even for older businesses, I'm thinking now, like if you have like a big menu across your board, maybe that person would prefer to read it on their phone. And we want to encourage that type of interaction between the customer and the business that creates that like stickiness. And it has something to do with like our touch and feel part of that experience. It's different from a barcode, and that's really because, one, their shape. Barcodes typically rectangular. QR codes are those square shaped. You'll always see this square shape, and they're actually they're not just 2D because of the way that they've worked it. Mobile phones can actually gather more data from them. So the square shape on the left side you see here holds more data for mobile phones to read. QR codes can actually hold hundreds of times of more encrypted characters than a barcode. So if you're not implementing these today in your business and you're wondering how you possibly could, then we could certainly get into that. I have a few slides here that will go over some use cases, but if you do want off to the side, we can certainly talk about that as well. Where we see these the most are contactless payments, customer communication, and data collection. I mentioned there's an example of restaurants that leverage it for a menu, or a barbershop. You walk in, you want to know what the menu of services are. Hey, scan our QR code. Other ways to do it as well is you could put it in some type of marketing strategy. Maybe you have a flyer out there or a mailer that you're sending out to people, and you have the QR code. Hey, make a reservation now for 15% off, and have them scan the QR code. All fantastic ways to, once again, engage the customer. But if we're thinking about reimagining retail in a post-COVID world, another way to make them feel safer. There's no exchanging of paper or goods, which leads to this point. Restaurants, retail, technology, nonprofits, all can benefit from this. You see the picture here of our beautiful downtown Malden Center. That is where I see QR codes going. They're not going anywhere fast. Like, they're actually going to stay for the time being. It's important that if you implement these within your businesses now, you have the opportunity to make those customers feel safe, and you're thinking outside the box. If you can gather maybe an email from there or offer some sort of discount, great ways for you to get in front of people and get them into your store. I mentioned this earlier, direct mail, a great way. I've seen a lot. I've gotten a lot of Val packs lately that have these types of QR codes. Businesses out there are embedding these not only on direct mail, but on their websites as well.
Hey, Matt, will you take a sip? I just want to throw in one extra case here for the QR codes. We've talked about cleaning and the extensive policies that restaurants can have. You might not want that on your very front page when people come to say Pearl Street Station and look at your front page. But if you want to make people secure, you can have a page buried in your website that goes into great depth about all your cleaning, but then it just includes a QR. So on your flyer, on your front door, you could say, curious about our policies? You can click here, and then it takes people to that. So it's not something front and center for people who maybe aren't interested in it, but those who are, it takes them right to that site. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example. People, you're combining basically the two methodologies we've gone over to this point, which, if you want to prominently display your cleaning protocols, and then if people want to read more about them, absolutely can use QR codes to send them to a landing page within your existing site. Other ways that you could do it as well, I mean, people love to engage after a great meal or great experience at your business. Maybe you have them scan to leave you a review before they leave, and you can give them maybe a special offer or a discount for their next visit. I mean, if you think about where our world is today and how much we rely on word of mouth, things like having a QR code to cleaning policies, having a QR code to leave positive reviews, these are all things that we're doing so that we show up online in a positive light. And that is exactly why we're here today. Sending people to a landing page within your site. I took this example for a website of a barber. I mean, you could literally send people here. Maybe you're sending out your direct mail piece. They scan it, they land on this page, and then they book their appointment. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use them. Sending them to the website is just one of them. And you can really choose their path. If they want to do cleaning policies, absolutely. If you want them to book a reservation or an appointment, you can do that as well. And then you also can direct them to social media pages. I pulled this page out of our friend over at Gallery at 57. She does a fantastic job on her social media pages. Maybe there's an opportunity that if you are shopping in store and you say, hey, follow us on social media, and we'll give and mention us in your post, mention your purchase in your post, then there's an opportunity to now get your products in front of more people. And then the other big one that we also see all the time in our Val packs or direct mail pieces is, where is the business? One of the best things that I know is if I don't have to type in an address to a business that I'm going to, and I can scan to just have it pop up on my Google Maps, so much better and so much more seamless. Less thinking on the user's part, and it helps get them there faster. And then you can also send them to the e-commerce store. Maybe there's something they come in for, but they don't find right away. That's okay. Maybe there's an opportunity to send them to the online store. As we see Gallery of 57, they have their e-commerce store set up. Now, how do you set up the QR code? Well, some things you want to look for if you haven't done this yet is there are tons of free QR code generators out. I put this list together. My favorite one here is either the QR code generator or QR code generator.com. And some of these QR codes you can get really customized with. You can put your own logo on. There's all the bells and whistles. And to be honest, you can just go with the free ones. So this is from the QR code generator. It's really straightforward. You can even go there right now if you want to try it out. You type in your website URL or where you want to send them, if it's maybe the Facebook or a PDF of your cleaning protocols, whatever it may be. It's so easy. You just pop it right into the website. And as you can see, I did an example for my business. It's just type in here and the QR code will be generated and you download this. Now, what I would recommend based on my experience is actually downloading as a vector. And that just basically allows you to enlarge or minimize as much as you can. It's a lot more mobile friendly, but if you can only download the JPEG version, that's fine too. Just be careful about zooming in too much. Always want to test out any of these technologies anyways. There's also an option there for dynamic QR codes. One significant pitfall to making QR codes is that you can't edit the data it contains once you print it. So with dynamic QR codes, you can edit this data. So you have to sign up for, once again, one of the QR-code-generator.com sites, but you can print a dynamic QR code, scan it, and pull up an editable form where you can modify the data your visitors will receive when they scan the QR code. Once again, if your business isn't constantly changing, stick with static. But if you want to play around with a few different, maybe you want to A/B test certain landing pages, up to you. In that sense, you might want to go with dynamic. The fun part about creating QR codes is actually customizing the design of the codes to your brand, right? We've been talking a lot about the customers and how we can make them feel safe, but realistically, we want to actually get our brand name out there as much as we are doing the other things. So if you want, there's totally options out there that you can create QR codes with your own business logo. Also, just keep in mind that customizations may make it a little more difficult for QR codes to scan. I'm giving you all the options today. If you just want to try it, simple, just don't add your logo, keep it a static one. Try it out. It's a really cool way to engage people with your business. And as I said, always be testing. These QR codes, they're not perfect. And it can be difficult for some people to accept their phones, to accept mobile apps and read the QR codes. Always keep in mind your audience here. Less tech savvy people also will have trouble with this. I know this firsthand when I go out to eat with my dad and he can't figure it out, or he can't read the thing on his phone. I would have backups just in case for people like my dad, that's for sure. And most of the people that will be coming through your business, they will, at this point in 2021, we're now almost a year, past a year of this pandemic. People have gotten used to the fact of pretty much using their phone for everything. And if that means contactless, even better. Having this option available to them is a great way to accommodate their needs. And don't forget to share and distribute. Let's not forget the matter of marketing aspect of this as well, because you want to put these QR places in places where, it's easy and we see them. And when I'm out and I see these QR codes, I almost just want to scan just to see what the heck it is. So you can leverage these as well for, billboards. Let's not go as big as billboards or TV commercials, but in terms of maybe barbershop marketing, this would be an opportunity for you to, once again, direct mail, get that in front of more people and have them scan for a 15% off, or think of ways, places and mediums where consumers have the time to scan the code and ideally have a Wi-Fi connection as well. I would also recommend, if you do this, say, for example, you go with a piece of direct mail, definitely have instructions on there just in case. You can't always assume that they will know how to read a QR code. And then the beautiful thing about all this is that you can track and analyze the performance of this through your QR code, and you can see the traffic on your particular page if you have a Google Analytics account. Now, if you're sitting there saying, Matt, I don't have a Google Analytics account, one, I can assure you that it's really easy if you have a website to set one up. And two, if you still need help, certainly ring me. I'm happy to send over some instructions, be your resource. I am your resource through all of this. Setting up Google Analytics is just something that I do for everybody. So it's important that you have this no matter what. This is any marketing campaign or anything that you do for your business that has to do with an online interaction. Analytics gives you that story of what is happening when people come to the site. Where are they going? This may be an opportunity. There may be opportunities within, hey, we're sending people with our QR code, like Kevin said, to a cleaning and protocols page. Well, where are they going from there? Are they going, maybe they're looking at a menu online, or maybe they're looking at photos or reviews. I mean, they can do whatever they want on their phone. It's on the internet. So wouldn't you want to know how you can really manage that interaction and make it as easy as possible for them to find the information they're looking for.
That's a really good point, Matt. We did have one question pop up. There was a
Yeah.
question as to what would the cost be for Google Analytics? Is it included with website stuff or is that an additional charge?
Free.
Free.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best answer you can give, right? Yeah, so it's free. It takes 2 seconds to set up. And I'm happy to do it if you need some help. So thinking in the world of 2021, where we love everything contactless, let's talk a little bit about contactless payment systems. We had a question come in. You had mentioned contactless payment as a safe option for my customers. What exactly is it and how do I set it up? Well, I can tell you, I actually did some research on this because I was like, contactless payments, like this kind of seems, I feel like everywhere I go has this, but I wanted to understand a little bit more about why is it that it's so important now. And I found this stat, 55% of US consumers are worried about handling cash, while about 3/4 of respondents said they plan to continue using contactless payments once the pandemic is over. 80% of contactless payments are for transactions under $25, which is usually a range dominated by cash. So it's important. And let's just go through really quick. What is it exactly? So it's when you have two main forms. It comes in two main forms on a credit card: a mobile wallet or app payments, and via contactless technology embedded directly in the card. So many people have cards equipped with these chips that simply hold, if you hold it near the card reader, you can complete your transactions. Now, keep in mind, payment terminals will need to have the near field communication capability. This usually looks like three little, the logo is like kind of a Wi-Fi looking logo, and I'll show you on a couple slides, but it won't work for older card readers. Make sure you have one of the newer ones. Why are they important? Well, we just heard 55% of people prefer contactless payments, and then after the pandemic, most of them are going to be sticking with them anyways. So once again, when we're thinking in a post-COVID economy, or as we continue to open up, people are going to stay with their habits that they've formed over the last year. And it's important we take these measures that minimize the contact between people and our business, because once again, we need to make them feel safe and give them all the options that now in 2021 they expect. Getting that trust from your customers, it really not only garners more business for you, but at the end of the day, you can feel great knowing that you're offering every possible option to them. There are two types of contactless payments that businesses can accept. We talked about the near field communication, this like Wi-Fi looking thing down at the bottom left. It's really the most popular one. All you need to do is tap your card. There's no swipe. If the card doesn't tap, you can certainly swipe, but the idea is that you don't have to swipe at all. And there are also options that if you have on your phone, you can use digital wallet apps. The digital payment side of it, it's really dominated by two companies, Square and PayPal, very well known. I know my barber has Square, and it's really easy because they have their iPad set up with the tap and go technology, and contactless, real easy. They can plug in the tip if I really wanted to avoid any contact. So those are our contactless payment options. And the apps that I have on my phone, Apple Pay, I also have PayPal, but if you have Android, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, and then certain bank apps like Chase offer this as well. So implementing it, well, it looks like this on your right. It's a NFC terminal. There are many options out there. If your business doesn't have one yet, that's perfectly fine. It's actually the price for contactless payment terminals starts at $39. You don't need to go crazy with this technology. Believe me, they make their money off the transactions that are happening on it. You want to make sure that you're offering these to your customers. And the most common you can use, Square and PayPal offer them. Many other credit card processing companies as well. I know Visa is a huge one. Actually, when I was doing research for this particular presentation, Visa was showing up everywhere. I don't think you can go wrong with them. Once again, take a look at those percentages, what they take off per transaction, and whatever works best for your business. The pros and cons, I needed to put this in here so that, once again, when I sit across the table from all my clients, I need to be transparent about what it is that we're looking at for pros and cons. So what we do know is that this type of payment, contactless, is great for customer confidence. There's a faster buying process, right? We're just doing a tap and go, decrease physical contact. That is the most important part. It's safer for both the customer and the business. Now, the cons, I mentioned this a little earlier, talking about my dad, the poor guy. He needs to do the old school way, which is fine. But you have to teach customers like him to use the system. And depending on the system or method that you choose, the fees for the payment processing will certainly be in play. Not all cards have this technology, so make sure that you are very transparent with your customers as to what types of payments you accept. Not all customers are used to making digital payments, like my dad, and may feel reluctant to adopt this technology. In that sense, I would have a backup plan. You cannot force everybody to do this. It is certainly an option, but it does not have to be mandatory, especially if they don't have the phone technology or the tech savviness. You want them coming back and being happy. Next, we're going to touch on customer service design. Talk about being happy, making those customers as happy as we can by really making sure that we as a business are designing, aligning, and optimizing our organization's operations. We're not going to go too deep into this. This is just a recap from week 1, but I thought it was important to mention again, as we talk about increasing that customer confidence and making it more safe, using something like service design to understand exactly how every touch point along in our business requires a decision, an action, and a response between both the customer and the organization. Meaning, I had a couple examples in the first week of coming into a business that has the clean scent, and they have a welcome table with hand sanitizer. And those types of things that are happening means that the business made that decision to have those things there. Their front of the house employees, the people that were hosting or at the host table, they had to take the action of putting them out there and then offering additional, hey, do you want additional hand sanitizer? Or they have to take my phone number for contact tracing purposes. Those types of things are done as business decisions and actions. And then the response is me, the customer, that now has to say, okay, wow, this place is doing everything they can to make me feel safe. I'm coming back here again, or I'm going to share this with my friends and family, garnering repeat business.
Matt, I had a quick question.
Yep.
I've been sitting on this for a bit, and I think this is a good point to insert it because it's in regards to one of the initial touch points you have with the customer. So one of our attendees asked, when doing advertising on Facebook or Instagram and you have a price for the services you're offering, is it better to be upfront and list your price right there? Or do you want to just use that touch point to engage them, to call for more info? What's your thought?
Yeah, this one, it always depends. I'm a big believer in price transparency right from the start. But it also depends on where that person is in the buying journey. If you're paying for Facebook ads that you want to get the highest intent person, the person that is ready to buy, yes, you would want to include the price. If this is more of a campaign just to get your brand out there, think about the purpose of why you're doing it. And something like a brand awareness campaign, that there's no need to put pricing out there. You're just trying to get in front of as many people as possible. In the sense of, I have my audience, I know exactly who I'm targeting. They're ready to buy my products. This is important that we get in front of them. So we'll pay. Let's tell them what they can expect for pricing. So
those are great points, Matt. And I think what you could do also is, if you're, say, a specific retailer and you're in competition with others, you can put your price out there. Let's say it's, men's haircuts, $20, but then you can have call and ask us about our military specials. So you can kind of straddle the line and do both of those. Just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of just special and discounts, think about too how people use Facebook as a place to see babies and dog pictures, right? So you need to really engage with the people that are viewing them. And this is a great example of, hey, like, we're engaging you. Maybe, originally we'll charge $20, but your first visit will give you a percentage off. You need to get these people in the door. And that leads us right into our digital marketing conversation, which is fantastic. So we talked about the customer journey. Facebook is just one stop along the way. We always want to say, hey, where is that trigger event? I could tell you, I look in the mirror and I see that I need a haircut. That is my trigger event. And I'm going to, if I don't have a barbershop in mind, or maybe I come across an ad that says, hey, you look extra furry today. Why don't you come in my door and we'll take care of you. Like something like that. Okay, now I'm triggered. Okay, let's do a little bit more research. That's where that investigation stage is. I'm going to look at your website. I'm going to say, hey, what are the reviews here? Do they have a YouTube channel? Is there a way for me to meet this business online before I walk in? Because certainly in today's world, I want to know everything I can about you before I walk in. Then I'm going to explore social media, right? If I do come across your ad on Facebook, I'm certainly going to be looking at your Facebook page. Same thing with Instagram. I want to see what kind of haircuts you give. Next, really that credibility side, the listings. I'm going to Google and I'm looking at the reviews. Google reviews are the Bible right now for me. I don't know why. Yelp can fall under here as well, but for some reason, and I can't tell you exactly why, maybe it's just I deleted Yelp off my phone, but Google reviews are the way to go. And then finally, I'm going to take some actions. I've seen everything I can. I've probably actually gone through this customer journey and along somewhere between 7 to 10 points of contact with your business without you even knowing. And I'm probably doing this in less than 30 minutes, which is like mind-blowing to think that these things are happening every single time you show up online. So that's the question. How do you show up online? Well, there's 3 conversations everybody has, right? They're searching, socializing, and surfing. We don't have to get too deep into this. For me, in that example I just gave, I'm doing mostly searching, right? I'm looking online. I'm looking at your reviews. I'm looking at your website. I'm looking to see if you have YouTube. Then that's where the socializing comes in. Maybe I want to message a friend and ask them, hey, have you ever heard of this barbershop? What would you recommend? And then the surfing aspect. I can look anywhere I want. And if that means I can go from Google reviews and then maybe I want to check Yelp reviews, certainly can do that too. Also, we wanted to talk about alternative sources of revenue. This is something we covered last week. There are some really great ideas out there. If you're a small business, you should really be taking advantage of the networking events that the city offers to meet up with other business owners and think about ways to partner. I can't tell you, as a consumer, for example, I love yoga. And before the pandemic, obviously yoga was much more of a thing. But if I was walking out of my yoga class and maybe there was an option for me to see, an offer for a barber shop or a coffee shop, local coffee shop, and maybe that place is right around the corner, why wouldn't I go in? I mean, first of all, I'm feeling amazing after some meditation, but like two, you're just you're creating that, once again, that stickiness, that sense of like community, like, wow, okay, like here's what I do after yoga now. I go get a coffee or I go get a haircut every couple weeks. Like you build it into people's habits, and everything that we've talked about to this point, we've been talking about kind of these reactive ways to accommodate people's new habits. This is an opportunity to actually proactively create habits within businesses. And another thing too, like Amazon Hub for package deliveries. Great way to get people in your store. I actually had a great experience with Kohl's last time. Like now I always want to go return my stuff over at Kohl's. Like these things you can do to not only react, but you can be proactive as well. And Kevin's got some great ideas on these too. Next, we want to talk about websites. I know we breezed through this last week. There's a lot out there. A lot of people mostly have websites to this point. If you're not happy with yours, or you feel like you need to have more, let's have a conversation, because if you feel that way, that's not a good way to approach online business. I think a lot of people can go the route of like, oh, I just need to have something up there, and they just throw it on the internet and, hey, this is what it is. Like, I don't care. I just know I need to be there. That approach can be costly. And I can tell you firsthand that it shows when businesses do not do much to improve their online presence in a world where the standards are so high and everybody is so used to certain things when they surf the web. It's important that we do our best to work on the content and make sure it's up to date and make it as friendly and welcoming and accommodating as we can, because it's critical to the success of your business, whether you know it or not. And to think that half of potential sales are lost because customers can't find the information they're looking for, like that is just throwing money away. And 92% of consumers, they're using their mobile devices. So last week, I encouraged everybody to take a look at your website on your phone, see what it looks like. Because sometimes the templates can really get messed up and things can be out of whack. And then also another thing too is it can make the website way too long. And if your phone number's on the bottom, it's taking people too long to find your number. People prefer convenience rather than anything else. Like if you have your number at the top, great. If you have your contact or button, call us now button, perfect. Make sure it looks good online on the phone. There's a couple different options here, and really you can go two ways. You can build it yourself, sites like Squarespace, Shopify, and Wix, or you can have a company like mine build one for you. It really depends what you're looking for. I would say, building it on your own is certainly a fulfilling thing. I can actually show you on a demo here right now. I use Squarespace for my website, and it's really cookie cutter. I like it because I have the ability to come on here and I can change it when I want. It's not as costly. I think I paid about 200, a little over 200 for the year, and that's the hosting and everything else. But here's what it looks like. I mean, I'm going to be constantly coming in here and making changes because with my work and with my education, like I'm going to be constantly working on case studies. But, it's important that we have at least the fundamentals, like, hey, what do I do? What do I want you to do when you get here? I mean, for this particular site, I want people to look at my resume or contact me. But if we scroll down here, I also want them to see what people are saying. Like, these are reviews that people have left on Google for my business. And then, it's kind of like my vision, right? Like what makes me human, what makes my business human is really the most important thing. Like, I really do believe that if you give that human aspect to business, then you're in a position to really connect with your customers. And you can do this too. If you have ever heard of Squarespace, it's really easy. They have a ton of templates, depending on what type of business you are. I think they have some beautiful imagery as well. The important thing is that your template matches your style of business, right? Like, if you're a barbershop, you don't want to have an e-commerce store. Like, what you offer, and you want more of a visual as a barbershop. You're a visual, you have a visual product and service. So make it as visual as possible, and you earn that trust from your customers. We can go in terms of just starting here. Obviously, I'm not going to just build the whole website with you, but I did want to just show you how easy it is. We find our template, we can pick it up here. One thing with Squarespace, as we wait for this to load, it is a little finicky. And that's because it's a web-based application and there's a lot of stuff going on, but they have an onboarding tutorial. They make sure that you have everything within, if you need more information on how to do things, it's all right here. They're very good with kind of holding your hand through the process. And even if you are inexperienced with this, the way that their templates are set up, I 100% would recommend this if you're a novice, because they have the right visual and the right content on the sites. This is bare bones. You just find what you want to put in here, quotes, reviews, etc. And, obviously your contact information with, I would say, instead of learn more, maybe like call us today or make a reservation. There's some different ways that you can play around with this. And the beautiful thing is you're in control the whole time. Otherwise, you can pay a company like mine. We put together a beautiful website. We have over 25 plus themes, 10 pages of content. That's something that's almost worth the price of admission, because you want to write certain pages, but you're not sure what. And then everything else that comes with it. You have your security license, site optimization, etc. We just walked through how to build it. Another question is, I guess I didn't realize that most of my customers are already using Facebook until you mentioned it. I just thought it was people that saw my sign or heard about my business. How can I start to gather their Facebook information so I can put my business in front of them, even when they are far away from my store? Well, that is a fantastic question, and it's quite loaded as well. So let's break this down. So if you are thinking that maybe there's an opportunity to stay in front of people or gather their information on Facebook, then you want to do what is called lead ads. And lead ads are a really easy way for you to, basically, people can just say, give my info on Facebook, and they will give you whatever information you ask, first, last, email. All that information is already baked into Facebook. So let's talk a little bit more about the importance of Facebook, because those lead ads, they're actually part of social advertising. And if you remember from the customer journey, Facebook fits into really most parts of that journey, right? I'm looking online, but I'm also looking on Facebook. Hey, what is this business doing? Are they posting consistently, etc.? We know that Facebook is the center of discovery. It is most of the time an opportunity for businesses to catch people or customers with their guards down, because once again, they're looking at dog pictures, family photos, maybe connecting with old college friends. They're there not for the ads, they're there for the content. And if your content or ads can kind of blend in, then you're at an advantage, because there are a lot of people that are on Facebook. We know that Facebook owns a ton of time during the week. I mean, it's pretty crazy that 3/4 of them log in at least once a day. And if you're not super clear on the value of Facebook and you want to be there, I'm happy to have another conversation with you. Once again, want to be a resource for you on all these topics, because these are the opportunities to really bounce back after a tough 2020. We can target basically anyone we want. I mean, it's even with the new restrictions coming out and how how Apple wants all these apps to ask users if they want to be tracked. Sure, that's certainly a thing, but Facebook still owns your data, whether you know it or not, and it owns customer data as well. So it knows where you live, it knows how old you are, it knows what you do for work. I mean, all these things people are feeding into it. And so as a business, you can pay for that information. You can say, hey, I want to target people that are 25 to 35 and live in Malden and are active, or they are wellness focused, like people that want their image to be improved. All great ways to start thinking about who can I target, and Facebook can target them as well. This one right here, site retargeting, actually answers that question that we heard before, is, how do we stay in front of them? I mean, site retargeting, if you have that pixel or code on your website that Facebook gives you, then as they search the web, they can go anywhere. Maybe they land on your site, and then when they finally come back to Facebook, there's your ad again. So how do you create a Facebook ad? Well, what I want to do here is, let's see, Facebook. So there's what's called the Facebook Ad Manager. So let's go in here. And I wanted to show you how easy this can be, because Facebook has done a really good job, because there are so many different types of targeting options and considerations. They're starting to realize that they're overwhelming people. And so as a business, what we want to do is we want to make sure we have kind of our campaign objectives lined up. The question that was asked earlier about, hey, should we put pricing in our ads? Well, it depends. If you're looking for conversions and store traffic, like people walking in, this means it's going to target people that are more likely to buy from you today. On this side, brand awareness and reach, that's just awareness. They're just going to plug your ad in really anywhere that people are looking. So from left to right, it just gets more refined. And now also think from left to right, the target audience shrinks. So it's up to you. A lot of the times when I recommend Facebook ads, I would say your best bet is either reach or engagement. Page likes, very important if you're a business that's just starting out on Facebook. And here we go. We can name our campaign. Some particular advertisers do have to say, hey, are we in housing, employment? And that's because of those targeting options. Like if you're a finance company, you can't target someone with low credit scores anymore. Here's our campaign objective, our spending limit. I mean, we can add a spending limit if we want. A/B testing, this is also very important. I would always recommend that you're A/B testing. And then campaign optimization as well. Facebook will understand from the data that is being gathered from your ad. They will say, okay, this ad is best served to these type of people. So in that sense, you want this on. And then from there, we create our ad set. And we said earlier, we can create these audiences. If you want a custom audience, you can do that. Or if you want particular demographics, you can do that here. So what I would say is you come in here, suggestions. I can go in, I can target. Well, for me, I would want to target like online advertising companies, but for you, we can do really anyone. We can do wellness, a wellness director, health and wellness, people interested in wellness. Like you can get really refined here. And as you do, make sure that you're keeping a close eye on this audience definition. And so that we don't spend a ton of time on this, we name our ad. Here's where you add your creative on this side here. Google, when you show up on Facebook, you want to make sure you check all the different ads here. So this is sending them to my page, and then we can fix our ad text here. This is where you would either put the pricing or not. And so that's really as simple as it gets. And you want to set up this tracking as well. So high level review. If you need more help on this, happy to help you. And as we know, Facebook ads work really well because of the targeting. You can be very specific. And the two types of ads, there's sponsored posts, there's right-hand column ads. And now, all right, let's create an ad just like we went through, but what do we write? I wanted to make sure that we talk about this as well, because you're probably sitting there saying, man, it's great. You just ran through how to create an ad, but what do we put in it? Well, make sure you're writing to your target audience. I mentioned this earlier, audience definition. This is important. It really depends on, you want to target the right people for your business. And if that means, people that live in the US are under 30, female, who like fitness, wellness, put those in and try to see what the audience definition is. Then you want to make sure that your Facebook ads, your copy matches your visual. Images that don't go with the copy create this experience for users that they can smell it from a mile away. They're unlikely to click, and the ad will be wasted. So where do you find the photos to match your ad? Well, I listed some of my favorite ones: Unsplash, Free Images, Shutterstock, Pixels, Canva, PicMonkey. All these sites offer a free version to an extent. And of course, if you want to pay for more, perfect. You can see I actually pulled this right off Unsplash of downtown Boston. And then make sure you're staying focused with one call to action. I see this a lot with people that are new to Facebook advertising. You know, you want this call to action, shop now, to be right direct to the point. And what do you want them to do? Do you want them to visit your site? Well, then in that case, visit our site. Or if you want them to call your store, call our store. Keep it short, lead with value. TaskRabbit, this is an up and coming company. They want people to, one, catch their eye. Once, think about the picture that they're showing here. It blends in with what you normally would see on Facebook. Hire a tasker, we've got chores covered, right? This has nothing to do with their business, but what they're saying is they want people to get their chores done faster. This is a genius ad, and they're making people want to learn more. And then always be testing. Here's an example post planner put up. You know, Facebook, they say in this left one, did you know Facebook's graph search changes the meaning of a like? Or beware of what you like, my friends. Graph search has changed the meaning. Try different copy. So now another question. I know you gave us a lot of choices for social media, but I only have time for Facebook since that's all I use. Can you tell me how to be more active as a business there? Absolutely. My job. What we do know already is that people use social media a ton. I mean, there's no doubt about it that they are on it for some part of their day. But how are we engaging them? There really is such an opportunity for your business if you can just as simply answer reviews or answer comments on your page, on your Facebook page. It goes such a long way. But in other ways, you can also, I would say, be posting anywhere between 2 to 5 times per week consistently. And anyone that comments or likes or reaches out, or maybe even just new followers. I've seen it a lot where if I follow a new business on Instagram or Facebook, I'll get a message from them saying, hey, thank you for following. And if you're interested in setting up a call, here's the number. And then I write back to them, this is a fantastic job of marketing. Tell whoever runs this account, they're doing an awesome job. It's that type of communication that people look for when they're doing research on your business. If I'm looking to get a haircut and I see a Facebook page that's up that has nothing on it, or a post from last May, I'm going to wonder what's going on there. So promoting that content and targeting the communities that you work in through organic, like we talked about, just regular posts, or we talked about paid ads as well. This is how you engage your community.
So Matt, that actually gives us a great segue to a partial question I got. So it sounds like you're saying it's better to do one very well than to overextend yourself and try to do too many social medias, but then not stay current with them. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. I just based on my own business, I realized that I was everywhere. I wanted to be everywhere because, once again, that's what I coach businesses to do. I say, hey, here are all your options. And if you can figure out each of them, great on you. But the most important thing is, you know your customer the best. Where are they today? So for me, LinkedIn, because I'm a business and I try to get more business using a professional network, LinkedIn to me is like, that's where I have to focus most of my time. And then the other social media accounts like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, I try to get to them definitely weekly, but LinkedIn is where I'm focusing my time. And it's always up to the business. Where are your customers? Really focus on that platform first. So now we got one more question here. I now realize that I have some missed opportunities with my former customers because I didn't get their contact info. Going forward, what do you think the best way to get that info so I can keep selling them? In all honesty, I don't think anyone wants to be bothered with signing up for a newsletter. So how can I quickly and easily get their info without making them feel like I'm sending them spam? Well, I think if you have that mentality of, I feel like I'm sending them spam, you most likely are. That is the reality of it. The way that I actually prefer to talk about email marketing is, these are my quick little tips, is like, you want to be personalizing your messages and then segmenting your subscribers. So in that question, it was, you're basically taking everybody that you get emails from and you're blasting out an email. Well, that will never work. That is spam. Segmenting your subscribers into particular buckets, existing customers, you're sending them a different message than prospective customers. And in terms of getting new emails, well, we just talked about it. Facebook has a great way that if you want, you can create an ad that gives you the email as a business. But another creative way that I've seen is, people signing up for like a free, well, this happens a lot in my world, but it's like people signing up for something that's free, but you can only access it if you give your email. By now in 2021, a lot of people do realize that, hey, if I give my email away, I'm going to be getting some messages. They're solicited because I gave my email away. But the best thing is that if I do, as a subscriber, as the customer, I always have the ability to unsubscribe. But what makes me not unsubscribe are exactly this: personalized messages that have value or offers. They're also tailored to me. If I'm not a customer yet, maybe they're saying, hey, Matt, we know you haven't been in our store. We know you haven't tried this out. Maybe you would try it moving forward. And in terms of cadence, they're not burying me with emails. I could tell you, Best Buy is awful. They were sending me like 4 emails a week. Don't do that. I would say best practice is around 2 per month. And you can automate this. You can schedule your email campaigns as well. And then finally, not a question, but I just wanted to say thanks because you made me realize that I'm not just selling stuff to my customers, I'm providing a service for them. Absolutely. That changes the way I think that they think. And listen, it's a human to human interaction. That's the beautiful part about all this. And the more that you can manifest that feeling of, I want to make it the best human interaction possible, it's going to change a lot of things in your business, thinking about it holistically like that. It isn't just about having the best price. Absolutely not. But it's how they interact with the business at all the different points you had mentioned. Exactly. We want at every single touch point to be as accommodating as possible, and also keeping in mind ways that we can make it easier for people to interact with us. So with that said, I think, this has been a great 3 weeks. I've really appreciated all your time today. And if you've paid attention, I hope you've learned something. I'm always available. I'm here in Malden. I'll be working hopefully with Kevin and more on helping businesses like yours grow and be successful and be online. So with that, thank you, everybody. And I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday.
All right, Matt, thank you so much for everything you've done. Your first one was really, really good. Your second one was great. And this one, I think, topped them all. It was fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
on behalf of the Office of Mayor Gary Christensen, thank you to Matt Urban of Matt Urban Marketing, as well as all the attendees and the panelists who joined us. I'd also like to say appreciation on behalf of Deborah Burke, the Executive Director of the Malden Redevelopment Authority, and of course, the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, who gave us this grant to run these seminars. These seminars that we have taped over the last 3 weeks will become available for people to see. But if you have any questions in the meantime, or just want to follow up with comments from Matt, please feel free to email me. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.